fully locked in and preparing for Flight 12. New infrastructure is being assembled and a major land expansion is underway at the launch site. All this and more in this week's Starbase update. After a long time and little trouble, we are finally back with a test about a V3 article. And this time, isn't a test tank but a real booster. In fact, on February 1st, we finally have Booster 19 roll out to Massey. Honestly, we expect this rollout to be more likely about 1 week ago basic on B18 timeline, but we are glad to finally see it roll to the Massey outpost to undergo a series of tests for validating this new design of booster. The test starts the next day, in fact. On February 28th, we can see a little of activity in the tank farm that will probably indicate an ambient pressure testing is going on. This is the same point in the test campaign where B18 have a rapid unscheduled disassembly. But for B19, everything go all right, proves that anything that has caused B18 to implode, was fixed in this booster. About that B18 problem, this week SpaceX has actually bought a unit of Hexagon Purus. That unit makes high-pressure Type 4 composite cylinders used in rockets and space systems. This remember me of something.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
So back to B19. The next day, another test go on that seems a partial cryogenic fluid load, followed 2 days later by a full, and I mean full cryo load of the 2 booster tank. So beautiful. After that, another 2 days later when I'm writing this video, B19 have another cryo load going on, followed by the most scary venting I ever saw. I'm not kidding, I was scared when I watched this. The next day, another full cryo test followed, marking the 4th for this booster. That after this last test on 9th, she finally returned to Megabay 1, where she will receive 33 Raptor 3 engine and 3 grid fins. While talking about that, you may have noticed something is missing in those clips. In fact, after the problem occurred in the last days, B18.3 was divided in 2 segments, and the top half has been loaded on a ring stand and taken back to the Star Factory. Probably this isn't the end for B18.3. Wait a second, what was that? A ship begins stacking in Megabay 2? Question mark? Yeah, in fact this week on Monday morning we finally have Ship 40 rolling out from Star Factory for start stacking operation, followed on February 5th by the forward dome section, so we finally have the second V3 ship already grow taller. What a fantastic week. But hey, the night don't hand here. In fact, some hours after Ship 40 stacking, we have observed the first B20 section rolling in Megabyte 1. We are really ramping up production, aren't we? And that's not all. 25 hours later on February 6th, we observed the common dome for B20 rolling in MB1 for stacking on the previous rolled section. We are really locked in. At the launch site, the progress didn't end as well. In fact, this week we can observe various tests of the flame bucket and the detonation suppression system to validate the new pad, along with some retraction tests of the squad arm. At the other part of the site, we see the newly transported tank begin placed in her final destination in the tank farm. We suspect that after those tanks will be connected with the rest of the tank farm, the smaller one in the middle of the propellant storage will be removed for new one. Talking about new storage and commodities, SpaceX has finally received the approval for proceed with the expansion of the launch complex. This will be very important because with this expansion, the launch site will double in space for a lot of new infrastructure like LNG plant and the water storage for Pad 1 that will in fact sit in the new land. Work for the preparation has already started, with workers began to sign the borders of the new land and the start of the removal of the vegetation in the area. On the other side of the road, there are also more progress with the ASU site. In fact, on February 2nd, we can observe the new giant cooling tower for the site roll from port to the ASU site, where the next day, on February 30th, it was lifted in place by the 2 cranes in sight. This seems to be the last prefabricated item to be delivered in sight, because in the port we can actually see only some new tank where all the components for the ASU site were staged, but we could be wrong. So that's it for this week's update. We've seen a lot of work going on, and in the coming weeks, this activity will likely ramp up with the rollout of Ship 39, which we're all waiting for, and possibly a top plate water test for the Pad 2 launch mount. If you like this type of video, please subscribe and leave a like so we can continue making these recaps, which take a lot of time to write and edit. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Starbase update.